What's up, guys? Welcome back to channel.
I have some Civil War Navy buttons that I want to sell.
A lady brings Civil War Navy buttons to pawn shop. In Civil War, more than 3 million men fought between 1861 and 1865. And the lady wants at least $1,300 for the Civil War buttons.
Got the eagle, it's holding the anchor. Obviously, it's Navy.
So what exactly are you looking for?
I just want to make sure they don't say made in China or something on them.
Corey checks the button carefully, and he found something unusual in it. So Corey asks how much he wants for it.
Do you have any idea of what you might want to get out of them?
I'm hoping $1,300.
Kind of in a predicament here. I need to get somebody down here and kind of tell me exactly what these buttons are.
Corey is not sure about its exact price, so he decided to call an expert.
If we hadn't had the Union Navy, we wouldn't have been able to blockade all the ports south. That made a huge difference. It intercepted a lot of the firearms that the South was trying to bring in, so it was an effective fort.
Expert tells lots of valuable information about the Civil War buttons.
Is there any way to actually tell for sure they're Civil War?
We didn't change the design on these buttons, and some of these are not easy. I think these are Civil War buttons.
Wow.
Expert confirms that these are real Civil War buttons and said that these buttons are from early 1860 and it's worth around $1,300.
Me earlier, $1,300. I'm sure there's probably like a grading system for these. Pristine ones like this one I would say is in really good shape. Compared to this one, not so much.
Corey likes the Civil War buttons, so the negotiation started.
I'll start off around $200.
How about 1,000?
I'll go up to 400. I'm not paying any more though.
600 and you have a deal.
I'll pay you 5.
All right, you got a deal.
Deal?
Okay, that was a little tough negotiation for Corey, but he get the deal. Let's move forward to next video.
I come to the pawn shop today to sell my Strongbox ball and chain. I'm looking to get around $2,000.
A man comes to pawn shop to sell Strongbox ball and chain, and he wants $2,000 for it.
This ball and chain right here actually comes from the human prison. This one right here, it comes from Folsom Prison from around the late 1800s, 1900s.
Old man and Rick having some concerns about the items, so he asks some questions to the owner.
Here's my concerns. When they forged chains, it was just hot welding together. You know, get it hot, beat it together. It was all done by a blacksmith. That's why I have a problem with these chains. They're electrically welded. See how these have arcs from an arc welder? Never in the history of any prison did they ever have their name put on the balls.
That was a shocking counter-statement from Rick, and he thinks that this item is not real.
Okay, so what are you trying to say?
It's fake. The manufacturers who made these things weren't going to change the die for every prison. But the box might be real. We have a box full of fake stuff. Gives me a real doubt about the box.
Rick thinks that box is real, so the negotiation started for the box.
Box I'll give you $400 for.
I want $1,200.
I'll give you $400 for the box, and I will get one of my guys to help you carry all this stuff out.
$800.
I just don't see me getting that kind of money out of it.
At least get $500 for it.
I'll meet you in the middle at $450.
All right.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty little filthy.
Deal ends on $450, and it's time to get expert opinion on it.
Wells Fargo, they were necessary because, you were handling currency, you were handling gold. You couldn't ship that unless it shipped in a Strongbox. Have you already bought this?
That sounds bad. I've already bought it.
Expert tells some bad news to Rick about the item.
I don't have good news for you. It's a complete fake.
Damn it, Rick.
Experts confirms that this box is completely fake, so no deal was made. Let's move to next deal.
What in the hell is that?
It's a big golden Dick Nixon.
A man brings giant Nixon head to pawn shop. Richard Nixon started his career in California before joining the U.S. Navy.
We're talking about Richard Nixon, Tricky Dick. He was made fun of in popular culture so much.
Rick asked owner the purpose of the giant Nixon head.
Why does this exist?
If you look inside, there's a hell of a metal structure in there. So I don't know if he was for a campaign. I mean, it's a mystery to me.
I really don't think there's a big market for giant foam Nixon heads.
Rick asked owner how much he looking to get out of it.
You want to sell this to?
Yeah.
Just for laughs, what do you want for it?
I'd like to get $2,500.
Owner asked $2,500 for it, but Rick looks not interested to purchase this giant head.
Funny, but no one's going to buy a head. Yeah, I can't buy
Glad you
this.
enjoyed it. I really can't believe that he didn't show more interest in buying.
That was unfortunate for the giant head owner. Let's move forward to next deal.
We've got 4 volumes of history of Don Quixote.
A lady comes to pawn shop to sell Don Quixote books.
I decided to come into the pawn shop today to sell my collection of Don Quixote books.
Rick asked some questions to lady about the Don Quixote books.
You know anything about them?
I don't really know much about it.
I mean, it was written in the 1600s, and you read it today, there's still funny passages in it that will make you laugh. Don Quixote is a novel about an ordinary guy who decides to put on a suit of armor and go out looking for adventures.
Rick also tells some information about the Don Quixote books.
When you see an address without a zip code, that means it's like 1962 or before. And these are definitely old. I mean, these are sort of timeless like that, and that's why they are collectible.
After careful checking the Don Quixote books, Rick is not sure about its worth, so he decides to call an expert to authenticate it.
Here's my concerns. I just don't know enough about them. So let me get someone down here who will know everything there is to know about these books.
Well, Don Quixote is probably the best-selling work ever. 500 million copies of this book have sold, at least. So this is a big deal.
Expert tells some history of Don Quixote books.
This edition here is over 100 years after that. This is normally not a good thing. You're lucky because Don Quixote is the most popular novel in human history. Printings like this can still have some collectible value.
Expert says that Don Quixote books have collectible value, so expert estimates its worth.
So for this 1731 edition, in this condition, all 4 volumes would probably retail $1,500 to $1,800.
Expert estimates books value around $1,500 to $1,800, which is really shocking.
So what do you want for them, young lady?
I'm looking, $1,000.
I was thinking more like $1,250.
$1,000 really is my best offer. I'm hoping to get $1,500 for them.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the deal ends on $1,000. Let's move to next deal.
Sir, what I have today is I have the British P1871 Martini-Henry short lever rifle.
A man brings 1871 British Martini-Henry short lever rifle to pawn shop.
This was the rifle used by the most powerful army in the world. This was used by the British in the Zulu War.
Rick shows how to assemble the gun.
So this would go like that, and then this would... That is just gnarly.
You're ready to charge the hills.
Rick asked how much you looking to get out of it.
It's in really, really good shape. How much you want for it?
Well, sir, I was looking for $1,250.
Do you mind if I have someone look at it?
Rick still has some doubts about the rifle, so he decides to call an expert to authenticate it.
The first breech-loading infantry rifle that the British Army ever adopted. So with one motion, when you drop this, ejects the cartridge and recocks it, now you're ready to fire again.
Okay.
Expert shows Rick how this rifle actually works.
You see this 780 here? Just above it, there is a W1. Now that stands for West Yorkshire Regiment. This is one of the oldest military regiments in the British Army.
Rick asked owner what is the actual worth of rifle.
So what do you think it's worth?
The rifle in this condition with the accessories and the early date, about $1,100.
We're gonna stick with $1,250.
He's saying it's worth $1,100. I'll give you $600.
Rick looks not in mood to negotiate the price. Let's see what happens.
I have a number in my head. $800, sir.
$700.
$800, sir.
$700 is what makes sense to me.
I'm gonna have to thank you for your time, sir. Unfortunately, we can't get a deal done today.
Change your mind. Give me a call.
Unfortunately, no deal was made. Let's move forward to next deal.
Money would be just a nice little bonus from holding on to for 45 years. I'm putting it at $10,000 mark.
A man brings rare autograph football to pawn shop.
My uncle gave me the ball. It was given to him by Ronnie Bull. You can see him handing it there.
Corey asked some questions to owner about it.
So this one should have Ditbuckis or...
Yes, the big name to me is George Hallis.
Those are pretty desirable.
Corey asked how much he looking to get out of it.
What'd you want to do with it, man?
Sell it.
Any particular amount you're looking for?
$10,000.
Here are some of the concerns I have with it. Absolutely no authentication for the ball. Do you mind if I give a buddy of mine a call?
Corey is not sure about its authenticity, so he calls an expert to check it out.
Dick Butkus, who's in the Hall of Fame as well. Right in the middle, George Hallis. Probably one of the most influential and important people in football.
Expert tells some important information about it.
Now, if we were dealing with an official ball, mint condition signatures, we'd be talking several $1,000s.
Expert comes to a conclusion and gives some shocking statement about it.
And if we compare Brian Picolo's signature here, they were signed by somebody else other than the athlete.
Owner asks expert how much it's worth.
You're looking at maybe tops $1,000.
Jeremy, man, I appreciate you coming in. I'd offer you around $100 for it.
So I'll just keep holding on to it.
Right on.
Owner wants more money from it, so he decides to hold it for a long time. Let's move to next deal.
I have a collection of Incredible Hulk number 1 through 6 I'd like you to take a look at.
A man comes to sell a set of original Hulk comics to pawn shop.
Years ago, I got a chance to meet Stan Lee in Chicago, and I had him sign it.
Corey takes a closer look of it and shares some thoughts on it.
I don't know if it devalued him by having him signed. When people buy these, pure collectors, they want the actual perfect.
Corey asked how much he looking to get out of it.
Any idea what you're looking to get for him?
I'd like to get $40,000.
But I know a guy I can have come down and take a look at him.
Owner wants $40,000 for it. so Corey decides to call an expert.
Signed by Stan, that's nice. But this is a nice copy, it's complete. His signature placement's good. This would be the big book.
Corey asks owner how much it's actual worth.
Okay, what's it worth?
If I did my math right, probably puts you at about $36,000. Good luck, take care.
Expert tells it's worth around $36,000, so the negotiation started.
I gotta make money. I'd have to cut that in half. I'm gonna have to pass, man, but thanks for bringing him in then.
Corey passed the deal, so no deal was made. Let's move forward to next deal.
First introduction of Thor. It's a Journey into Mystery comic book.
A lady brings Journey into Mystery comic book to pawn shop.
And then you have a god.
I've had it for a couple of years now, but I could use the money. I want to start traveling a little bit. I'm hoping to sell that comic book for about $100,000.
Lady wants $100,000 for it, so Rick asks how she get it.
Oh, my brother. Well, he used to draw for Marvel Comics years ago.
So you sent it in and got it graded?
Yeah, I sent it in and got it graded.
And it's got a great rating on it, too.
Rick asks how much she wants for it.
How much were you looking for?
About $100,000.
$100,000. Let me have someone take a look at it.
Rick calls an expert to get some help in authentication.
Beautiful. So we have the first appearance of Thor, Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby, of course, co-creators of the entire Marvel Universe. And Thor is the 5th character that came along in the Marvel Universe.
Expert shares some valuable information about it.
This book has white pages. That is astounding. Which means that somehow this book was stored in an environment where the pages didn't turn brown or off-white.
Rick asks how much it's worth.
Right now, $60,000.
Well, Steve, man, I appreciate you coming down, buddy.
After the expert confirmation, Rick proceed to negotiate it.
Okay, so what would be your best price on it?
$60,000.
But I'll give you 30.
$50,000.
No, there's no money in it for me. I'll give you 40.
Okay, I'll go 40.
All right, sweet.
Finally, the deal ends on a good note. A man brings signed Led Zeppelin records to pawn shop.
Zeppelin 1 signed by the full band.
By the full band, I only see one.
Jimmy Page signed the front, and on the rear, John Bonham, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones.
Rick tells more details about Led Zeppelin records.
Led Zeppelin is one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time. Now, 4 signatures on an album, if this is real, probably won't want to put it in the store. I want to bring it home.
Rick asks how much he's looking to get out of it.
How much do you want for this?
$22,000. This is the holy grail to Led Zeppelin items.
We got Jimmy Page on the wrong side.
But you're not going to find something like this.
Let me call up my friend, take a look at it.
Of course.
Rick is not sure about this item, so he decides to call an expert to authenticate it.
Greatest rock band of all time.
Yes, they are.
If the signatures are good, if everything checks out, there's no doubt this is going to end up being one of the rarest items I'm ever going to see.
Expert says that if the signature is real, then this item could be priceless.
So the first thing I'm going to do, Rick, is look at it under magnification right there, ballpoint pen. And you take a look right here, oxidized. It's a little older. Get that nice aged ink.
Expert checks the signature with the help of magnification so he can identify better.
So we know we've got live ink on here. That's a great sign. He had this big R, and then the rest would just become all a big flow. John Paul Jones, probably the nicest signature in the band. The last one I want to take a look at, the Jimmy Page. And it's just all over the board, but I love this slow and spontaneity.
Expert finds the real ink in this stuff, so Rick asks, is this real or not?
Okay, so it's all legit.
Absolutely no doubt this is the real deal.
Rick asks expert to estimate its worth.
What do you think it's worth?
Right at about $10,000 to $12,000.
Okay.
The owner of Led Zeppelin is not happy with the expert opinion. Let's see what happened next.
The reason why Jimmy didn't follow suit with the other 3 is because this was his baby, this album.
Absolutely. Exactly. I'm not actually discounting any of that stuff. One second. I would tell you this much, that if you told that to the average person, they're not going to care. They want them all on the back.
Finally, after some heated movement, the negotiation started.
I would give you $8,000 for it.
My best price would be $17,500. You know,
okay.
I appreciate the offer.
Okay, well, if you change your mind, come back. The offer's open. Have a nice day. Thanks for coming in.
Unfortunately, no deal was made. Let's move forward to next deal. A girl brings rare Marc Chagall's print to pawn shop.
This is a Marc Chagall print that I have.
Do you know who Marc Chagall was?
Sort of.
Very famous painter. You know the
Rick asks some question to girl about the print.
difference between like Impressionism and Post-Impressionism?
Not really.
Where'd you get it?
Oh, I have a wealthy aunt, and she gave it to me, but it doesn't go with the decor of my house.
Rick tells some valuable information to owner about the Marc Chagall's print.
There's probably like 24 artists in the world where you just look at their art and go, that's Picasso
Right.
or Renoir. Chagall is one of those people. 500 years from now, they'll still be talking about his paintings and they'll still be worth money. If you
After some discussion, Rick asks owner how much she wants for it.
ever get a chance to go to Paris,
Okay.
Paris Opera House, painted the entire ceiling.
Oh, wow.
So how much you want for it?
I don't, maybe around $1,000 or so.
Did you get any paperwork on
I
it?
don't have any paperwork.
Lady not having any paperwork, so Rick calls an expert.
So it looks Chagall.
That is an image by Chagall. This is Captain Bryaxis' dream. In fact, it's one of his most famous images.
Expert tells some additional information about the item.
This particular image is from a work called Daphnis and Chloe, 2nd century Greek poem. If you look very closely, you're going to see a bit of a crease here. This is a double panel. So
Rick asked Expert how much it's worth.
what's it worth? It's worth at least $8,000.
Awesome.
So it's a little more valuable, and it's the only double panel that was in the overall set.
After some discussion, the negotiation started.
You still want $1,000?
No, obviously.
Tell you what, I'll give you $3,000 for it.
Kind of low. He just said it was 8.
What is your best price?
Lowest, 6,000.
I'll give you $4,000.
5.
$4,500, not a penny more.
I'll take 45. Deal.
Finally, deal ends on $4,500, and that was good deal for Rick. Let's move forward to next deal. A man brings guitar amplifier to pawn shop.
Got a 1947 Moscow guitar amplifier, belonged to Hank Williams Sr.
Rick gives some information about the guitar amplifier.
The Hank Williams Sr.
The Hank Williams Sr., father of country music, and to me it's just amazing.
January 1, 1953, gift of mother, Miss W.W. Stone.
Rick asked how much he wants for it.
I'm wanting $450,000 for it.
Doesn't even say it was Hank Williams amp on it.
Right.
Rick calls an expert to check if it's working or not.
I'm very nervous right now because I'd hate for it to not be authentic.
We gotta plug it in, make sure it works, because that's gonna affect the value of the amplifier. It's making some noise.
Expert starts to play the guitar and checks the amplifier.
It's a definite work. It's immediately distorting. That hum that it's making right now, that means it needs capacitors really bad. But
Rick asks Expert is amplifier in good condition and how much it's worth.
All right, so do you think it's Hank Williams? If so, how much?
It would probably be 30 grand, but without any kind of definite proof that it's his, the amp itself's probably worth $400 or $500.
After the expert advice, Rick and Corey looks not interested to buy it, so no deal was made. Let's move forward to next deal.
The sword from Zelda.
It looks like it was on a pile of rock.
A young man brings old Moorish sword to pawn shop.
So this thing is just in amazing condition. Some people would call this patina, I call this rust.
Rick looks really interested to buy it, so he directly asks how much he wants for it.
Okay, so how much do you want for this beauty?
Thinking maybe $200.
Let me call up someone who actually knows what they're talking about.
Rick calls an expert to check this beauty.
It's definitely a pulwar from Afghanistan. It was a one-handed sword, could be either hand. This end piece was created so that it wouldn't slip out of the hand while wielding it.
Expert shows demo how this sword actually works.
Okay, so when was it made?
The 17th century.
Okay, so what's it worth?
$500 maybe. But actually, if I restore this for you, it'll be worth on the outside $5 grand.
Expert told that without restoration its worth is $500, but with restoration its worth is around $5 grand. So Rick asked how much its restoration charges.
And how much to restore it?
$1,500.
Okay. Thanks, man. I'll let you know. All right, well, let me go get you $200, dude. Okay.
$450.
Well, there's not a lot of money to be made here, dude.
And the negotiation started with owner.
I know I gotta leave you
All
a little room.
right, $250.
$350. I'm already cutting that low.
All right, $300.
All right, you better hook me up on the next one, man. $300.
Finally, the deal ends on $300. Then Rick checks this sword after restoration.
Oh, this came in the mail for you?
I don't know. Oh, it's my sword.
You bought a new sword? Are you going hunting with it with your hat and everything? Or?
Rick successfully restores the sword. Now its worth is around $5,000.
It's a 300-year-old Afghan pulwar. It was nothing but a bucket of rust when I got it, and he brought it all back to perfect.
Well, it looks cool enough.
It's worth $5,000.
That was an amazing deal for Rick. Let's move to next deal. In this episode, a customer brings Buddha to pawn shop.
I have this Buddha that I'm trying to sell. I thought Buddha was fat.
Anyone who becomes enlightened is a Buddha. So there's been hundreds, if not thousands, of Buddhas.
Rick asked some question to owner about the Buddha.
How much about it?
No, I think he got it from a garage sale.
You got a bunch of little spots where the gilding came off, and you have, I'm assuming it's brass underneath.
Rick asked how much he wants for it.
How much do you want for this?
$10,000. I saw it online. It was a similar item going for that price.
After hearing the owner offer, Rick decides to call an expert to check this out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. That is perfect to the mythology because this Avalokiteshvar has so much compassion for humanity. He's listening in all the 10 worlds.
Expert gives some valuable information about Buddha. Rick also asks some questions to expert.
Well, we know it's a real Buddha. I mean, how old is it? What's it worth?
Looking at this, the condition it's in, I'm going to pitch the age about 1750. I'm going to say that, I have seen these on the auction block going from $10,000 to $15,000 because...
After the expert advice, Rick asks owner how much he wants for it.
What's your best price on it?
2,000.
I am thinking closer to 6. He just said I can get maybe 10 grand at auction.
And finally, the negotiation started.
Give you 10 grand, there's no money to be made. I will give you 7,500. I will not give you a penny more.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll accept that.
Finally, the deal ends on 7,500. Let's move to next deal. Man brings photo and letter of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow to pawn shop.
I have a photo of and letter by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Is it?
Owner tells some valuable information about the item.
A poem?
No, it's basically a letter this dear madam, whoever she was, wrote to him for a photograph and some autographs to use in a fair. And he's sending that to make some money for the fair.
Rick discusses the item and tells some valuable information about the item.
He really was a superstar back then. When he passed away, they put it was a statue or a bust or something like that. I'm assuming this is all real. The ink looks like from the period.
Rick asked how much he wants for it.
How much were you looking to get?
I was hoping to get like $300 for it.
It wouldn't surprise me if this guy got hundreds of letters every day. Sometimes they would have a secretary write the letter, or he might have done the whole thing himself. This might have been, went to a secretary, you take care of those. Just give me a couple, I'll take care of those myself.
Rick calls an expert to authenticate it.
It's got great potential. In all honesty, this guy is really sought after. So I'm going to follow the signature along here. Kind of looks like it starts off pretty strong, but the more I'm moving along here, you see how it gets very faint towards the end. So he's using a quill to write with. The ink's running out of the quill. No doubt about the ink on here. So that's one good sign, okay?
The expert check its authenticity with the help of some instrument.
I want to pull up the examples that I have on file here. You see yours very truly. I mean, we're looking at live ink.
It's all legit.
Absolutely. There's no question about it.
Expert confirms that this thing is absolutely genuine, so Rick asks what is its worth.
What do you think it's worth?
Right around $1,500.
What'd you want?
Rick asks owner how much he wants for it.
For this?
I don't think $300 is going to do it for me. $900 for it.
I'll give you $700. And I'm offering you more than double what you were asking.
Yeah, let's do $700.
Finally, deal ends on $700. Let's move to next deal. A owner brings 1715 Spanish fleet coin to pawn shop.
To sell this gold coin if I could.
8 escudos. This is a Spanish stamp here. This is like the Royal Crest of Spain.
Rick asks how he get this stuff.
I got that from my grandfather when he died. He left a safe full of contents.
Do you know much about this?
I don't know much about it at all.
Rick also shares some details about the coin.
8 escudos, it was from Lima, Peru. They had like the worst mines in the world, but it made a fortune for the Spanish. When the Spanish occupied Latin America and South America, they used forced slave labor to work the mine.
Rick also tells some information about the history of the coin.
Coins back then were weird. The size didn't have to be exactly correct. When they stamped these coins out, you didn't always get a great strike like this. It's almost too good to be true.
Rick asked how much he looking to get out of it.
What were you looking to get out of it?
Like to get 2,000.
This coin is in really great shape, but this is easily counterfeited.
Finally, Rick calls an expert to check its authenticity.
It was one of those things that looked a little too good to be true.
That's a Lima 8 escudo. And in this corner, there's an L. That means Lima, Peru Mint. Biggest gold coin the Spanish made.
If this coin is authentic, then it is very rare, and it's a part of King Philip V's personal treasure.
There was a big scandal on some counterfeit.
And that's why I wanted to have it checked out. It's 27.0 grams.
That is right on. Very rarely will they be right on.
Expert check it carefully and makes a decision that it's an absolutely genuine piece.
Most castings are underweight. From everything I can see on this one, I'd say it's absolutely genuine.
Rick asked expert how much this coin worth in today's market.
I think this is worth it.
I would put a price tag of $18,000 on it.
Okay.
It's like finding treasure.
What do you want for it?
Sounds like 18,000 to me.
No, I don't.
And the negotiation started.
I would give you 10 grand for it.
How about 12?
How about 10 grand?
No, I can take it somewhere else.
How about 10.5?
I wouldn't take anything less than 11,000.
11,000.
11,000.
Okay.
Get it?
That was a tough negotiation, but finally deal was made. Let's move to next deal. A lady brings rare dinosaur bone to pawn shop.
So do you know what dinosaur this is from?
I have no idea. I just know that it's a dinosaur bone.
Rick looks excited about the bones.
There were certain deposits in the United States where there's just massive amounts of them.
Rick asked how much she looking to get out of it.
How much do you want for this
I
thing?
was thinking 40,000.
We don't even know what kind of dinosaur it's from. A lot of times they'll find, say, this bone right here and cast the rest of it plaster. So a lot of times these dinosaur bones are not all complete. Let me get someone down here to see if the entire thing is real.
Rick calls an expert to inspect the dinosaur bone.
I notice it's a dinosaur leg.
This is Camarasaurus. Camarasaurus was a long-necked dinosaur that lived in the Jurassic period, walked on 4 legs.
Expert tells some valuable information about the bone.
Authenticate. We'll take a look at this to see if there's any cast pieces. That definitely feels like a cast toe. Looks like these little toes, these metacarpals. These are real. If it were cast, this would be much lighter. The real value is in the real bones.
During the inspection, expert finds that this bone is absolutely real.
That's where the meat of the piece is. This is kind of the details. The dead giveaway is going to be if we can see any cell structure. You see the black and white difference there? That looks like calcite that's infilled the bone cells. This is definitely real.
As usual, Rick asked what is its worth.
So the big question, what do these things go for?
Be very comfortable appraising it at $25,000.
Well, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
After the expert opinion, Rick's negotiation begins.
I mean, what would you take for it?
So what about 21,000?
I'll give you 15 grand for it.
How about 20?
I'll give you 18,000, not a penny more. That's my top dollar.
Sold.
Sweet.
That was a good deal. Now after the dinosaur bone, now it's time to check dinosaur eggs.
I've been told these are a couple dinosaur eggs.
All right, so how do we know they're dinosaur eggs?
That I don't know. I didn't live back then.
A lady brings some items to pawn shop and claims that it's real dinosaur eggs.
Mind if I take a look at it?
Sure.
I mean, I guess they kind of look like eggs if they've been flattened. Do you know if that crack is natural or it was and then they put it back together or something?
I don't know that.
Corey asked how much she wants for it.
Any idea what you want for them?
20,000.
Corey calls an expert to check its authenticity.
I had a buddy named Tom who is a paleontologist.
In the early 1990s, thousands of these eggs came into this country and appeared in many of the marks, but let's determine that they're real. The
Expert tells some condition to identify if it's real or not.
first thing I'm going to look for is a uniformity in the thickness. You'll see the color differentiation between the sediment on the interior and the actual shell itself. These are absolutely original eggs.
Wow.
70 to 80 million years old.
Corey asked expert to give more information about it.
A crack in this area that comes around, this egg was actually added to this piece of stone. A single egg is never worth as much as it is if it's part of a pair or a triplet.
Corey asked how much it's worth in today's market.
Knowing that they're not original to each other, it makes it less valuable.
But how much do these things go for?
Anywhere from maybe $300 to $600 an egg in this condition.
After the expert opinion, the negotiation started.
I'll tell you what, I'll go $500.
500? Okay.
Deals ends on $500. Let's move to last deal. In this episode, a customer brings Statue of Liberty painting by Peter Max to pawn shop.
I'm just assuming it's a Peter Max. Pretty interesting. Peter Max has got a really weird storied life. This guy was born in like Nazi Germany, but his family doesn't go like to the States or England. They go to China.
Rick gives some information about who is Peter Max.
Peter Max has a very distinctive style, and he's still popular today. His work has been known to sell for over $100,000.
Rick asked how much he wants for it.
How much are we looking to get out of it?
Based on what the market is, I'm trying to get about $35,000.
You got paperwork with it?
Yeah, I do have paperwork.
Let me have someone look at it.
Rick calls an expert to check this out.
What I'd like to do is just take a closer look. I just want to see maybe if it's a printed base, embellished, or if it's a completely one-of-a-kind work.
Expert looks impressed with this stuff and shares some information about it.
I don't think that's the case with this one. I think the visage was applied with a stencil, but I don't think it's a print. It's definitely an original, and it's certainly a one-of-a-kind.
I mean,
expert confirms that it's as 100% legit, so Rick asked how much it's worth.
what's the market on this thing?
The good news is this is a fairly iconic image. I think an appropriate value for a work like this would probably be in the $25,000 range.
After the expert opinion, Rick started the negotiation.
What would be the best price you'd take?
Pretty firm on my $35,000 price.
I mean, I'll give you 10 grand.
He said it's worth 25. Can you do 15?
I'll go 12 grand.
All right, you got a deal.
In this episode, Chum goes to downtown to check pirate ship float.
A call just came in from a guy selling a boat. I just decided to go check it out myself. I thought you had a boat.
It is a boat.
Does it float?
No, it is a float.
I thought a boat floats.
This boat floats in parades.
I'm confused.
I'd like to sell it today because we'd like to start our next bigger one. I'm asking $250,000. Why don't you come on aboard? What do you think?
It's pretty sweet.
Owner shows Chum all the amazing features of float.
Can you show me all the features?
Black pipes, they pump out all the fog you could ever want. Got the front stage. You come down the stairs, you got center stage. We've got lasers that come out of there that we got a big screen TV so the people behind you can enjoy what's happening.
Is this legal to drive on the street?
Got license, registration, inspected, and we covered the whole thing with 100% Afghan mahogany. It's got a 350 Chevy carbureted motor pushing about 300 horse.
Chum asked permission to take a photo of float.
You think I can take a picture?
Absolutely.
A pirate ship you can actually drive. Take it for a spin while I'm waiting for him to reply back.
Corey texts him immediately to not buy the float.
Don't buy the float. Send. Everything will be fine. Don't worry, I'm sure he's not going to buy it. He doesn't have any money on him.
But he's an idiot.
Chum really likes the float and wants to purchase it.
I'm on a boat! Sup, ladies? I can't wait to show this to everyone. If I can make a deal, Rick will think I'm the man. Pretty awesome.
Right on. You like it?
What are you trying to get for it?
$250,000. 240?
Pretty sure Rick will want it. I can give you 100,000 bucks.
Man, my bottom dollar's 190, 190,000. That's giving it away.
I don't think my boss would let me spend that much. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I had a good time, though. It was fun.
Fortunately, Chum reads the Rick text and cancel the deal.
Why don't you call your boss?
I could do that.
Well,
he might want it. It looks like he texted me already. Do not buy the float. It was Rick, my boss. He said not to buy the float in a text message.
That's it?
I'm gonna have to pass.
Well, that's bull. Whatever.
Oh, sorry.
Unfortunately, no deal was made. Let's move forward to next deal. In this episode, a man brings with a rare Claude Lorraine painting to pawn shop.
Claude Monet painting.
Where in the hell did you get this?
Collateral for a loan. No, actually, he took the money, went in the hospital, and died.
Do you have a date or anything else like that when it was done, when it was painted?
I
Is
don't.
there a title to it? It was just...
I don't.
He started arguably one of the biggest art movements ever, the Impressionist movement. Impressionism is named after his painting Impression Sunrise. That's why his paintings are worth so much money.
Rick gives more information about the painting.
They were a little bit blurry, that's Impressionism, but you could still see detail, and that's why they go for millions.
The insurance policy for that painting displayed at the Las Vegas Museum of Fine Arts.
May 1st, 1965. Our findings as follows. The painting is solidly constructed casual canvas, a typical Claude Monet from his early period.
Rick knows that he is not art expert, so he called expert Brett to verify it's real or fake painting.
I am not qualified to say if this is real or not. Let me get a friend down here.
And when you think of fine art masters, Monet's right up there near the top of the heap. Important artistic movement of the last 200 years. The way that they were able to configure and juxtapose started painting very early, so what's early period? It doesn't really tell you a whole lot of Monet's brushstrokes. Impressionists were all about, as the name would indicate, he usually had some texture in his pieces, and this, again, there's very little of that. He also was known for having a very, vibrant palette. All of the master works that you see, if it's authentic, this could be a $5 million piece. I'd like to get a second opinion, and just because there's a few red flags that I see, he may not see it that way.
Brett brings in Gerard for a second opinion on the painting.
The man that I go to in our gallery when we have masterpieces come through just to verify authenticity.
Before to look at the name, you look at the technique. It will be a very important Monet because the size. He is a painter from the outdoors, from the landscapes. Monet is known for that quality. If we look on the back of this painting, at the texture, the canvas, you will have all the oil paint sweating through the canvas. Here you don't see that. 150 years old. See cracks in the painting? Absolutely not. One crack. That's interesting. Monet will have showed this with shadows. This will be much more pronounced. This is too flat.
So is it real?
Not real.
Not real.
Oh.
Expert confirms that painting is not real, so no deal was made. Let's move to next one.
I have a book signed by Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Absolutely incredible.
A man brought a book to pawn shop, which is signed by Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Say it ain't so, Joe.
It seems to be a collaboration.
Yeah, the story is that him and 7 other guys on the 1919 Chicago White Sox took money to fix the World Series. Destroyed his baseball career, his reputation for the rest of his life.
Right.
Owner gives more information about it.
You're certified.
Right.
Well, he was illiterate. His wife signed everything for him. All the signed copies of this book, most of them, everyone you see will have this in it.
So this could really be an amazing signature.
You will not find a rare autograph.
Rick says Joe Jackson's signature is so rare and so expensive.
Joe Jackson's signature is so rare and so expensive, I just have to take the gamble before this guy walks out the door with it.
Rick asked how much he wants for it.
So how much did you want to get out of it?
Quick search on his signature and found that there's not many of them. $30,000 for the book.
Not going to happen.
What is going to happen?
Closer to 10 grand. Of all the sports signatures in the world, this is the one most faked. So, I'll take a shot at 10 grand.
Bring something to the table.
I'll give you 11. I mean, it's a big risk nowadays with stuff like that. I'll go $13,000. I won't go a penny more. So,
well, okay, let's do it.
I'll meet you right up front. We'll do some paperwork.
Okay.
After completing the deal, Rick goes to expert to check its authenticity.
Say it ain't so, Joe. Signed by Shoeless Joe Jackson.
One of the craziest things you brought. So what I have here is one of the only Joe Jackson signatures. This one looks like a pretty normal A. The K, he tries to do the loop. I'm not convinced that it's real.
It's not real.
Well, no, I'm going to send it off some more people. I'm going to try and get a consensus.
A thorough examination that prevented us from certifying the autograph. Signed over the original.
I'm assuming that's a guitar.
Not just any guitar. This is Semi Mosley's blue gospel guitar prototype.
Man brings his Semi Mosley blue guitar to pawn shop.
Where did you get it?
Directly from Semi Mosley.
Really? That's really, really cool. I know that he started off repairing guitars.
He did this prototype.
Okay.
He hand wound the pickups. The pickguards and the volume plate, it's built with violin joints.
Rick looks very interested in this guitar and gives some information about it.
These early 60s blues and rock and roll were exploding. I mean, it looks brand new, but there's no belt buckle marks on it. Definitely cool. You got paperwork on all this?
It's listed in the celebrity registry. 009, 1965 gospel prototype.
All right, I'm interested. So if this is the actual gospel prototype, definitely be a market to sell this thing.
Rick asks owner how much money he wants for his guitar.
How much do you want for it?
$200,000, $250,000. Now, I know this is not an auction. Realistically, I'd take $100,000.
Quite frankly, that sounds expensive. Let me give a buddy of mine a call.
You should know I am considered the industry expert on this guitar.
Ricks does not know the exact worth of guitar, so he prefer to call an expert for better advice.
It is a really cool guitar, man. The Mosley tailpiece, Mosrite of California on the pickups, the style of the knobs, the prototype gospel guitar.
Big question, what do you think it's worth?
In the guitar market of today would probably be $25,000.
That's absolutely ridiculous. It's been appraised of $100,000. The guitar's been insured for $100,000.
I can insure my shoes for $100,000. Prototypes of Les Pauls. That's why I'm giving this the $25,000 mark in my eye.
Thanks,
Sorry
Jesse.
about that. I'm just kind of glad I got out of there without a black eye.
The owner tried to convince Rick to buy the item, but it doesn't work.
He can't know what I know about it.
Les Paul's prototypes went for less money than you're asking.
But it's also beautiful.
But one of a kind doesn't always bring a fortune.
Come on, you know you like it.
Obviously, we're not going to make a deal, so all I can tell you is good luck.
Thanks.
Let's move forward to next deal.
Came in today to show you my Charles A. Lindbergh personal briefcase.
A man brings Charles Lindbergh briefcase to pawn shop.
This is Charles Lindbergh's briefcase. And how do you know that?
I'm a Lindy baby. Lucky Lindy. I believe I have one of the greatest finds in American history.
Rick gives some information about it.
He was the first guy to fly across the Atlantic. He got a company in San Diego to build the plane. Charles Lindbergh was the ultimate underdog. Tons of people were trying to make that solo flight across the Atlantic. Okay, how did you get the briefcase?
Rick asked questions about briefcase to Mike.
A couple had bought a home, and this was one of the items that they had found. When they opened it up, they seen where it had embossed the name.
So this briefcase was sold to the pawn shop a few years before his flight?
Absolutely.
You have an intriguing story here. He did take it on some of his earlier flights. We're looking at a significant piece of history that just walked into my pawn shop.
Rick asked how much he looking to get out of it.
How much were you looking to get out of it?
I'm actually looking to get $85,000.
Here's my big problem. You've got like 6 degrees of separation here. You have this card here and a briefcase that's just embossed C.A. Lindbergh. Let me have someone look at this.
Rick not sure about the exact value of briefcase, so he preferred to call an expert.
Charles Lindbergh, the pilot, always went with Charles A. Lindbergh. His father, however, always went with C.A. As I look at the evidence, my opinion, this was Charles August Lindbergh, the father. What I've found on it, it was Charles August.
I 100% disagree with.
Mike disagree with expert advice. Thus, no deal was made.
Mark's my guy. Obviously, we're not going to make a deal.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a nice day, man.
A man brings with antique Scottish knives to pawn shop.
I got a couple of Scottish blades here. Handed down from me from my dad. My grandfather was overseas around World War II, and he had bought these over there.
So do you know anything about these?
Called the dirk, and this is the dagger, around the 18th century. Well, I'd like to sell them, $4,000.
Owner wants to sell it for $4,000, so Rick's gives some information about it.
This is a reproduction. This is not silver. This is really poorly sandcasted all along here. This is photo etching along here. They put a photo negative above the blade. They put some chemicals on the blade. They blast some light on it. The acid reacts with the light and zap, it's there. This one I'm confident is not worth anything.
That really sucks.
This, on the other hand, looks real. It's definitely silver. That's a lot of work right there. It looks like it's a modern cut stone. And the hallmarks are going to tell us where it's made, who it's made by, what year it's made. Call on an expert, have them check it out.
Sounds good.
Rick is not sure about this item, so he prefer to call an expert for better advice.
I'm an expert in knives and militaria. Journey that these items have been on. Absolutely amazing to me. So what are your concerns about it?
I can't read the hallmarks on the back, and this is a modern cut stone on the top of it.
Proper form of a Scottish dagger. The end of the handle here was actually intentional. They would slip this into their sock. This would protrude, allowing them to easily grab the dagger. Outwardly facing design, smooth on the backside where it would be against the skin. This is called a cairngorm. worn. Common for these stones to fall out and be replaced. Made in Scotland, has the Scottish thistle mark on it, was 1900.
Rick asks its worth to expert.
So what do you think something like this is worth?
$800 to $1,200.
Now that Jeff has confirmed this dagger is 100% real, I definitely want it. What do you want for it?
Maybe 6.
I give you like $400 for it.
That's just too low.
I'll go $500.
$500? We'll do that.
Owner gets $500 for it. Let's move forward. A man comes with Madonna's day planner to pawn shop.
This is Madonna's personal daily planner and phone book, completely handwritten.
So where'd you get it?
This is something I purchased in-house.
This is really something I've never seen before. Did she sign it anywhere? Or?
Actually, right here in the front of the book, phone numbers that she had at the time.
A lot of people consider her the queen of pop. The mega fans out there that would pay good money for this.
Corey asked how much he looking to get out of it.
How much are you looking to get for it?
$25,000.
Really don't even know where to start. I'm gonna give a buddy a call and have him come down, and I really don't even know what to say about this right now.
Corey calls an expert to authenticate this stuff.
A weird one for you.
Oh, great. Obviously, Madonna's kind of a big deal. She's really difficult to get near. Tough autograph. She doesn't like signing. Doesn't like people just being around her. Because of that, her value is insane. She's like one of the most valuable modern era celebrities that's still alive. What are your concerns? Obviously, I have to compare her writing. I'm looking for transition points. It's literally the same thing. That's a positive sign. Just kind of looking for matches, and I'm looking at the 4 and looking all lowercase here and looking literally at the same letter formation. You know, based on everything.
Expert confirms that it is genuine Madonna's day planner, so Corey asks its worth.
What's it worth?
Conservatively, I'd say $10,000 to $12,000 range, right in that ballpark.
I disagree.
The owner disagree with expert's suggested price.
I definitely think it's worth a lot more. We all have an opinion.
I think it's a great buy for the shop. Anything Madonna has significant value.
You're asking 25. Heard my guy say 10 to 12.
Unfortunately, the negotiations doesn't come down to any deal.
I'd give you like $4 grand for it.
It's insulting, to be honest with you. I'd go down to 20.
I'd go to 5. We're not gonna make a deal, are we?
Listen, we all make mistakes in life. We'll see what happens. I appreciate your help.
Take care, man.
Thanks, man. This was worth clearly over $20,000. It is an iconic piece of rock and roll music. His offer was insulting.
A man brings 1912 Longines Navy watch to pawn shop.
1912 Naval Observatory pocket watch. Made by Longines. My dad said he wanted it in a poker game.
Longines have the oldest registered trademark of a watch logo in the world. They built the timing mechanism for gymnastics in 1912. The Navy, time of day, really important.
Sure.
They're responsible for the positioning, navigation, and timing for the whole U.S. military.
Corey tells some valuable information about the watch.
Really, I don't know too much about it other than it's never been mounted, never been refinished, polished.
You see the 800 right there? 0.8000?
Yes.
That means this watch is 80% silver. Would make sense for it being a Navy watch because silver doesn't really rust.
Corey asked how much he wants for it.
How much are you looking to get out of it?
$5,000.
We're a little high. I'd offer you $2,500 for it.
I could do $3,500.
Time goes on, this name is getting more and more forgotten. I'll go $3,000 on it. That's the best I can do. 3 grand? Yeah. All right, deal.
That was a good deal. Let's move forward to next one.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm interested in selling a pocket watch I have.
Very forward to next deal. In this episode, a man brings 1926 Dunhill watch to pawn shop.
I got a 1926 Dunhill watch lighter.
Dunhill started off as a tobacco farmer, so guys smart enough to realize, hey, why don't I start selling stuff to light it?
Corey asked how much he wants for it.
I have one of the ones that are the ones Dunhill built, which were actually better watches. Just makes it a little bit more rare. What are you looking to get for it?
$6,000.
If it was in perfect condition, I could probably offer you that. The thing it does have going for it is that they are really collectible.
And the negotiation started.
Take $3,000 for it?
No, I would not. 5.
Would you take 4?
Let's split the difference. 42.5.
Let's do 4.
Sure. All right.
Ain't gonna happen.
Then Rick asked how much he wants for this watch.
How much you want for it?
Let's move forward to next deal.
What do we have here?
It's a pocket watch.
Okay.
And it has Henry Ford II's signature on it.
That's really, really cool.
A lady brings Henry Ford's second pocket watch to pawn shop.
Henry Ford II? He wasn't Henry Ford's son. He was Henry Ford's grandson.
Yes.
It turned out a little weird like that. Presented by Ford Motor Company to F. Weaver on the 35th anniversary.
Rick asked some questions to owner.
So was your dad F. Weaver?
No.
Okay. Who was F. Weaver?
I have no idea.
Okay. American pocket watch industry was pretty cool. But the Swiss came up with these little things called wristwatches. When they first came out with them, they were not popular at all. So what the Swiss watch company started doing is they started paying really big actors, Hollywood stars, things like that, to start wearing wristwatches. So by the 1930s, pocket watches went out of style.
Okay.
Rick asked how much you looking to get out of it.
How much do you want for it?
I'd like $1,200.
Not gonna happen.
Would you do 400?
Nope. You know, you have right around $230 worth of gold. 200 bucks, that's what I can do.
Well, I guess you're gonna make 30 bucks off me then.
Okay, all right, 200 bucks.